Hi, everyone. Good evening and welcome to this webinar with Inside AI/ML about why businesses need data science, right? So this is a very interesting topic because this helps you dive deeper into the actual core value, business value that is generated by data science across all the domains and fields that you generally know of. So whenever you start thinking about a new job or a new role, you always want to know about the domain that role is focused on, right? Suppose that can be manufacturing, that can be supply chain, that can be logistics, that can be material science, marketing, social media, and a lot of these individual domains. Now, data science is individually not a valuable product, right? Because like you can understand, data science is dependent on data. So the kind of data you have and the kind of data you can generate, the quality of data that comes with it is what you are really looking for when you want to drive business value with data science, right? So data science is a facilitator of data-driven decision making. And that's the core idea behind why businesses need to switch from just recording their data or recording their data unprofessionally. I mean, unprofessionally in the sense that it's written on pieces of paper. It's not exactly mapped with the right ways. It's not connected. The data is simply written somewhere so that only one or two people who've actually written the data, who are in the place where the data is recorded, only they understand the data. So we really need to move from the current traditional data collection and data science to a very sophisticated data-driven platform or data-driven decision-making where the understanding is why data can be helpful, right? And that's what we are going to go through today. So we are going to discuss a lot of interesting topics. The first is business intelligence. Then there's smarter decisions, making better products, managing businesses efficiently, predictive analysis, and we'll also read an example and understand about automating the recruiting process. Okay, so I hope all of you are ready. I'll just quickly check the chat box if there are any questions. I would definitely want to take them up. Great. So any questions, guys, please post it on the chat box below. I will definitely review them as soon as I get time, right? I'll constantly be looking at the live chat screen. Great. Coming to the first topic, which is business intelligence. Why is business intelligence very, very important? Okay. So how does a business work, right? A very, very fundamental question. You have some idea that you are solving a problem. When you are solving the problem, you have certain inputs. For example, you need manual labor. You need transportation of raw materials. You need processing of those materials, building the finished product, productionizing it. That means all the aspects of delivery of the product to the distribution centers, packaging of the product, sealing the product to make sure it does not get hampered while the process of transportation and all of that. So you decide the entire process and you also want to make sure that you are profitable, right? I mean, obviously the business will not be immediately profitable, but you have to understand where are the core points where producing at scale will really help you, right? For example, if Facebook would have been built just to connect two people, right? If Facebook would have been built just to connect two people, then Facebook would have been a very non-profitable business. In fact, it would have been a huge loss-making business. Why? Because it needs a significant number of customers so that it can generate revenue to manage its related costs, right? So Facebook requires users in a massive scale because more number of users, more advertisements Facebook gets on its platform and they get paid for the advertisements, right? Now, you need to find out what are the critical points in your business that are impacting your business, either in a positive way or a negative way, right? So these are largely called impact levers. Okay, suppose you have a product A, you want to sell more of that product A. How can you sell more of that product A? One, you can either improve the quality and let the market adapt to your higher quality product. Second, you can do extensive marketing of your product. Third, you can expand your sales across geographies. So right now you're selling in India. Let's say you go and sell in US or Europe or Russia or different places in the world, right? So there are different levers which you can pull to increase the business, right? And it also represents an idea that there are different places where more efficiency can be acquired. So how do you find out those inefficiencies and then make appropriate decisions, take those decisions to fulfill or eliminate those inefficiencies? So whenever you are trying to take a decision for the future, the best input you can have is the data of the past. That is what business intelligence is. A person who is leading a company is not the person who has just joined. Why do people want more experienced guys to be at the top? Because they know how the industry functions. They know what are the core challenges of the business. They know where a small change will impact hugely and where a large change might not impact at all, right? So with experience, people actually build that skill set and then they apply that skill set. So they learn from the past, understand the pattern, which is detection of patterns, and then use those impact levers to take informed strategic decisions, which are going to positively impact the business. Okay. The second part of business intelligence application is you must need to quantify the core of any data collection project, right? So business intelligence works when you have the right insight or the right data that helps you fuel the decision. Suppose I ask you to tell me the profit of my company, right? You need to understand that there is a lot of data collection that needs to happen before reaching that point. I need to know all sources of income. I need to know all sources of expenses. I need to know all kinds of depreciating assets, appreciating assets. I need to know any kinds of loans that I have sent out. I need to know any kinds of investments that I have done, right? All of that combined give me the profit, either realized profit or notional profit, but those are going to give me the final number. So data collection has to be at the core of business intelligence development. That is why Google, Facebook, Microsoft, Netflix, all of these top companies are heavily invested in collecting all kinds of data. I'll give you an example. Suppose you want to find out, you want to build a, let's say, a recommendation engine, right? Now, whenever I want to try to capture characteristics of a human being, okay, suppose you want to know something about me. Can you tell me a fixed number of parameters that will help you know everything about me? There will not exist a fixed set of parameters. There can be different things like where I was born and brought up, what is my height, what is my weight, what is my education, how much do I earn, what are my strong beliefs, what are my favorite movies, what are my favorite books, what TV series I like to watch. All of these combined will give you an idea of who I am as a person, right? So this data collection has to be very extensive because today you might feel that Pranjal's weight might not impact how he takes decisions. But tomorrow, if you want to sell me junk food or do you want to sell me healthy food, my weight will be a very important factor for you to define it. Is that clear, everyone? Just I want a quick shout out on the chat. If you guys can quickly say yes or no, that will be really helpful. I'll just wait for a minute for everyone to respond. Any questions, guys, please post on the chat. Yeah. The second is we also need to answer questions so that we can streamline the process of data collection. So what data should you collect? What granularity should it be collected at and what frequency? For example, there is a machine that does some kind of processing on raw material. So you want to know details like how much raw material was added. It can be in terms of kg or grams, right? Kg or gram is the granularity, right? Because kg can be 1.25, grams can be 125.83, right? So what granularity you want to collect the data in? What data you should collect in? So how much material I put in, how much material came out as waste, how much material was developed. This will actually tell me the efficiency of that machine, or it will also tell me the efficiency of the labor, human labor operating that machine. So this is a very important aspect. The second is what frequency. Do you want to collect it weekly? Do you want to collect it daily? Do you want to collect it hourly? Or do you want to collect it 6 monthly or annually? Right? So the common thumb rule is, standard thumb rule is, you should collect all the data that is possible to collect. You should collect at the smallest granularity, because you can always go level up in the hierarchy. You can never go down, because the downside is not explored. The upside will just aggregate and reach. And you should always collect at the minimum frequency possible, because again, you can aggregate on the top. You can go towards the top and keep aggregating, but you cannot, split it once you have the data at a higher frequency. So if you collect the data at a monthly level, you can never give me data at a daily level. But if you collect data at a daily level, you can always give me the data for the monthly level, right? By granularity, I mean the scale. Yes, kind of the scale or precision, right? Those two are interchangeable, right? The next step is that there should be a circular loop. This is a very interesting point, because this is where AI is going to really beat human decision making. Okay. I don't want to scare all of you, but the truth is, there is a very high chance that AI might beat humans in decision-making capabilities. Right now, it's not able to directly, because it does not have enough data to sustain, to fuel its engine inside. But if it has enough data, it can always take better decisions. For example, in today's world, in India, it's not the case. In India, like 80-85% of the Indian stock markets are being used by private investors. Humans are sitting on computers and making trades, and like 10 or 15% is executed by computers or algorithms. In the US, it's completely the reverse. 20% of the US market is used by the private investors, people sitting on computers and making trades. 80% of the US market is traded by computers, which is why you would also notice that there is a very small chance of making money in the US market, because mathematics is normalizing everything. Because 80% of the people are using mathematics, there are very less opportunities of human bias that can give you a successful trade, right? Which is why Bitcoin and all of these technologies are coming up, because the more and more human bias you include in any kind of decision. For example, in India, people are very positive about the Tata group in general. We all respect Ratan Tata, right? So no matter what, you would always feel positive about Tata Steel, Tata Motors, and the Tata group in general, because you consider them, you have a bias for them as how they are as humans. So you're also understanding that the company would also behave like that. But on the other hand, the business can always be profitable or, running a loss, right? So how Tata group behaves with respect to business and how Ratan Tata is as a human, they are totally interlinked, as according to you. But the machine does not know that connection. So it will only take decisions that are mathematically and strategically sound, right? Now, how does this loop work? You get data, you learn from the data, you take decisions. Those decisions again give you new data. Let's say I predicted that the stock price of a particular company will go up by 5%. It actually went up by 3.5%. So my model knows, my AI, my data science, my machine learning model knows that there is an error of 1.5% in what I am predicting and in what I am actually observing, right? So it will fix or tweak its learning in such a way that the next time this happens, the error is less than 1.5%. When this happens a lot of times with a lot of data, the intelligence, the business intelligence that humans usually use can be transformed and actually passed on to machines, right? And that gives a lot of companies significant edge over competition, right? Just imagine I'm working as an AI scientist at a material science startup. We have our own platform that does a lot of material informatics for some of the top manufacturers of the world, right? Imagine you not having to actually do an experiment, but you already know the outcome of the experiment, right? That's the kind of power or strength data science gives you today, right? One experiment might cost you somewhere around 1 lakh rupees. But once you've done 10 experiments or 20 or 30 experiments, you might not need to do any more experiments because the AI will learn from those 30 experiments. And then you'll ask the AI, I want this to be my final output. And it will give you recommendations on what to do with respect to input to get a certain output. Okay. And the final point is the essence of applying data science is to have all the facts, insights, and trends available to the decision maker, right? So once you have the data, you can answer any question, right? I hope everyone agrees. Every transaction has to be captured. Yes, Vikesh, that is correct. So just a quick shout out, guys, on the live chat. Just put a yes or no if everything is clear. Yes, it's a huge saving in R&D, definitely. Yeah. Yeah, so you can check out my LinkedIn profile. My name is Pranjal Biani. You can check out my LinkedIn profile. You'll see what I do for a living, and it's an amazing application of data science, right? So once you have all the facts, you have all the answers. So you are going to take a very informed and well thought of decision rather than taking decisions with your mind, or like a lot of us Indians do decisions with our heart, because the human mind has a lot of biases, right? I mean, if you go online and search the different kinds of biases, there are a lot of them, right? For example, hindsight bias. Something has happened in the past, you assume that it's going to happen in the future, right? Let's say you have a bias for personality. So you think certain things are right, so you are not ready to believe something else is also possibly right, right? So if you just go online, I'll just quickly share my entire screen. Right? If you go online, and you search for different human biases, you will see there is confirmation bias, there is anchoring bias, there is availability heuristic, there is framing effect, there is in-group favoritism, there is cost, there is hindsight bias, there is self-serving, there is halo effect, and a lot of different biases. Okay, so you need to understand that biases are very serious. Okay, moving to the next slide. Smarter decisions. Now, why smarter decisions? Data science delivers relationships, very important. So I know that if I increase my marketing spends by 1,000 rupees, I will get a sales of 1,500 rupees. Okay. So I know that every 1 rupee I spend on marketing will give me 1.5 rupees in an output. That defines my ROI, which is return on investment, right? This factor really helps me because how will I compare the marketing strategies? Suppose I have 2 marketing strategies. Okay, 2 marketing strategies. I want to compare which of the marketing strategies is good. I know that I can find out using data science the relationship between spends and let's say spends and revenue. So that will give me return on investment. For each of the marketing investments I do, or the marketing projects that I have taken, I can find out the ROI. I can compare whose ROI is better, and that will be a better marketing project for me, right? So with data science, you can actually get these relationships between control variables, the ones that I can control, the inputs, and the derived variables, ones that I don't have control over. I put in the effort, then the decision, the output comes out from the market. For example, I have bought a stock of Reliance Industries today. Now I have no control on where the price moves. Okay. But if I know the relationship between how the price of Reliance moves with respect to the Nifty market, with respect to the international market, with respect to the Dow Jones, different ETFs, different mutual fund spends, FII spends, DII spends. If I have understood and I have mapped the relationship of Reliance stock price with a lot of other variables, I have a definite edge of predicting where the stock price will move when other things are in my favor. The also second complication that arises is not all of these relationships are very straightforward. For example, increase the marketing spends and your revenue goes higher, your sales increases. That's a very simple, straightforward equation. There is no hi-fi science required to understand that relationship, or it's more like everyone knows that equation, right? For example, if you want to be successful, work harder. Everyone knows that, right? Nowadays, things are like work smarter and harder, which is also I consider true. For example, if you want to get healthier, exercise, right? If you want to clear an exam, try to read a lot, try to practice a lot of problems, you will clear the exam. So these are very simple relationships, but then comes complex relationships, which are a part of, I would say, interconnected effects. This is a very complicated concept, and this is something that humans cannot easily understand, but machines, algorithms, and mathematics can, right? Let me give you an interesting example. Let's say, coming from the material science domain right now, I have an interesting example there. Let's say I mix 5 chemicals together, right? I mix 5 chemicals together in different amounts, and the final chemical, I observe its property. I observe what is the temperature of the final chemical, what is the solubility of the final chemical, etc., etc. Now, have you guys heard of the catalyst? In chemistry, there's something called as a catalyst that increases the rate of the reaction either very high or it brings the rate to be very low. So the catalyst is one of those ingredients that can significantly impact, but a catalyst needs to be in a certain amount for that impact to be created. If I add 20 grams of catalyst, it might not work, but 20.5 grams of catalyst might immediately increase the reaction time, right? And that's very essential because those relationships cannot be captured by the human eye in simple ways, right? Suppose you don't know the interaction between the first chemical and the third chemical, right? Let's say the first and the third chemical normally go against each other. But if you add chemical 4, the combination of 1, 3, and 4 give you a very positive result. So these interconnected effects of how one thing impacts the other. Suppose you did not do marketing, but you improved the product quality by investing in R&D, right? You did not increase the prices, but you reduce the cost of transportation. All of these have an interconnected effect, which you need to understand as the decision maker, but you cannot directly understand it. You need a mathematical relationship, which is complex, non-linear. So linear is straight line relationships. Non-linear is like, it will be a curve, a parabolic, hyperbolic curve, right? Any decision made with the help of these strategies curated post the data analysis and pattern recognition, these can be directly connected to success. For example, I took a decision from the data science or data analysis. With the decision I took, I also know what output I can expect. So if I get that output, I can actually be sure that my strategy worked. Does that make sense, everyone? Quick yes or no? Just checking in the chat if there are any questions. Yes, Amit, that's correct. I work for Polymerize and we are working with this very interesting thing. What is granularity? Viren, I think you missed the question. Granularity is basically the level at which you collect the data. Okay, I mean, with respect to the level, let's say, when you say 1 kg of something, is it always 1 kg? Might not be. It might be 1 kg something grams, 1 point something something grams, right? So the precision or the granularity is that level, how small or how accurate data you can collect at each level. Okay. Vikesh, you're asking me to turn off my camera. No, I cannot do that. I think YouTube Live I'm not allowed. I mean, not with respect to YouTube, but with respect to my association with Inside AIML. Okay. Yes. So the second is, I think I can just put it aside. The second is, once you have this, all the information, strategies, and pattern recognized, then you take a decision, and you can also map the success achieved with the decision you took based on a particular relationship. The third and very important aspect of making more and more smart decisions is, see, a lot of people think that AI is going to take human jobs, right? But it's not actually true. So AI can learn from the data that you have given to it. That's it. It needs a lot of data. It needs structured data. It needs data that is explainable. It needs processing. It needs standardization of data, different manipulation techniques, all of that. But even after all the strategies that a data scientist takes before building a model using it in the AI or data science models, statistical models, as a matter of fact, you also need to validate the model's performance. Okay. You also need to make sure that the reality, or which I call the experiential learning that a domain expert has had with years of experience and practice, that learning should also be intact or aligned with the model's learning, right? Suppose every experiential guy knows that every experiential guy knows that the more you invest in yourself, the more growth you will have. Let's say I build a human psychology analysis model, right? It takes the actions of the human. It takes different decisions like, is he going to the gym? Is he running every day? Is he playing any kind of sport? Is he or she eating good food? How many times are they eating food? Are they resting well? How many hours are they sleeping? It does all of that, then predicts your success, right? Now, if a person who is not eating healthy, not going to the gym, and then he's very fit, right? If the model predicts that the person is very fit, that's a very big problem, right? Because humans will not believe the model. And until and unless we bridge that gap of humans trusting the AI model to take decisions for them, we are not going to be progressing a lot in terms of AI, right? So that bridge has to be made with the experiential learning as well as the model learning. Okay. Now, this is going to be a very interesting one-on-one discussion. So I'd want everyone to participate in this. You can type on the chat all of the things that you want to write, right? Chase your heart. I need to know difference between data science and data analytics. I don't think this is a discussion for this particular webinar. You can connect with the Inside AIML team and we can discuss on this later. Okay. Great. So when you are focusing on making better products, the product can be a steel pipe. The product can be an online technology platform. The product can be a messaging service like WhatsApp. The product could be a book. The product could be a research paper. The product could be anything, right? A very fundamental question you need to ask is, are you focusing on the 80% or the 20%? So there is a principle called the Pareto Principle. The Pareto Principle says that we achieve 80% of the results by doing 20% of the work. And we achieve 20% of the work by doing 80% of hard work. So it's a reverse equation. If you do the right 20%, you are going to get a lot more impact. If you do the remaining 80%, you are going to get a very small impact, right? So let's take this as a case study. Consider a steel manufacturing plant. Okay, this is a manufacturing plant that produces steel. Okay. At what stage, at what parts can data affect or influence the process? Okay. At what stages can data affect the process? Okay, let's start. Okay. So any ideas? What stage of the process? So suppose transportation. Can data influence the transportation of the steel manufacturing plant? Yes or no? Can data influence the transportation? I mean, transportation be influenced by the data collection? Yes or no, guys? So there's a lag with the online, but I think most of you would have said yes, right? So let's say transportation or timings of human labor, okay? Appropriate breaks, the food given to human labor, let's say all the people who are working, there is a canteen, there is a kind of food that you can give to your people to have better health for them, the kind of ventilation provided in the plant, all of these are individual data points, right? Let's take the example of transportation. Okay, how can I improve the efficiency of transportation of my steel manufacturing plant? First of all, what time do the different trucks with the raw material enter in the plant? I want to balance that. I want to optimize that situation. How do I optimize? I want all of my individual trucks to arrive at a time where there is a gap between different trucks so that the unloading and loading can happen at the appropriate time, right? So suppose my raw material has come in the morning, my trucks will actually, offload the entire raw material. That same truck can be used within my own plant to make the transportation of my final goods to my distribution center, right? That is one optimization. What data point do I need? I need how many trucks are coming at what times and at what days to my manufacturing plant. How many trucks are going from my manufacturing plant at what times, at what days to my distribution centers, right? And then if I try to build a model that tells me based on the arrival time, based on the time spent in offloading, based on the time of onloading, or based on the time of reaching the distribution center, time of the day, day of the week, right? What and how, like temperature, right? If it's a very high temperature situation, humans are not very active, but it's a pleasant weather, people will work faster, things will happen faster, right? I will try to optimize a situation where each of my trucks are coming at a appropriate time where they can enter, offload the existing raw material, go to my manufactured section, I mean the productionized center, then collect the material and then send it out to distribution center, right? This data will actually help me understand the efficiency of my trucks, the speed of offloading or onloading. So let's say I have a team of 5 members who are responsible for unloading the raw material from the trucks. And I have a team of another 5 people who are responsible for putting the final product on my trucks for sale to my distribution center, right? I will know the efficiency of those 5-member teams by how much time they are taking. Suppose in the month of January, they were taking on an average 3.5 hours, right? But in the month of March, they are taking on an average 5 hours. So that 1.5 hours gap needs to be accounted for. Why are less number of trucks being unloaded, or trucks are getting unloaded slower than compared to January? What happened? Did we change labor? Is it because of the environmental conditions? Is it because of any kinds of restrictions at the manufacturing plant? Is there any kind of issue with the roads, right? Is there a lot of traffic these days? Has the timing of the truck's arrival changed? You can account for all of them if you've collected the data. Okay. Samit, that's a very interesting question. How do you quantify the qualitative parameters? Okay. So qualitative parameters. So what Sammed means is there are two kinds of data. There is either numerical or categorical. Numerical data is where there is a number associated. So it's a continuous number. Okay, give me a second. Yeah. Suppose I send you a message. Okay. The content of the message is the text message, right? The time at which I send you the message is recorded. What application I use to send you that message is also recorded. Just like that, a lot of different kinds of data can come, right? Quantifiable parameters can always be quantified. What do we mean by that? The amount of liquid you have added to a particular drink. Okay, let's say you are using data science to predict the best whiskey manufacturers in the world, right? So what would you do? You would try to see the sequence of adding different whiskeys, the quantity of different whiskeys added, the quantity of raw products added, the amount of maturity of the individual whiskeys, all of these, right? But the cask in which the whiskey is made, right, where it is stored for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, the cask, that is not a quantity. That is a categorical value, a quantifiable value, right? It can be rosewood, sherry cask, different kinds of casks come for whiskey makers around the world. That categorical value is separate. Now you can analyze the average, let's say, alcohol percentage of a sherry cask or the average percentage of a mango wood cask, right? And then you would know, does sherry cask add more alcohol percentage or the rosewood cask add more alcohol percentage? What happens? You will be able to analyze the data at a categorical level also, right? So somewhere those are definitely covered. So whenever you consider any kind of business or any kind of product, you need to know the different areas where optimization is important, where data must be used, what data points you need, and then the different process or analysis or to find out the inefficiencies and then solve the problem. Suppose I notice for my steel manufacturing plant that on Monday morning, at once, all the 20 trucks are coming. Okay, suppose I have 20 trucks that get me raw material from the different suppliers. So let's say 20 trucks are coming at Monday morning altogether. So my unloading team is very busy for Monday. Okay. And no trucks come on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So my unloading team is very free and relaxed on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday because they know that no trucks are going to come. They are going to come next Monday, right? The inefficiency is that when the trucks come, I am missing out on the Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Also, to store all the raw material these guys have bought, I have to have a larger warehouse, a larger inventory to store materials from 20 trucks all at the same time. Otherwise, if they would have come in different intervals, I would have passed on the raw materials to my manufacturing center at different stages. And I would not need to maintain a large warehouse, right? So these are also the kinds of things that you can analyze with data to make better products, right? Let's consider another example. This is like a steel manufacturing plant is a very big example. Let's consider a very small, a local kirana store, a local grocery store, right? You have a grocery store. How can you influence or impact the business of a local grocery shop? How can you make the life of that shop owner better using data science? Okay, any ideas? Just post on the live chat. Otherwise, I'll start discussing in 1 minute. I'll be waiting for the answers. Let's discuss a few points. So let's say you know that during summers, cold drinks are sold more, right? You know, I mean, that's a very easy assumption to make because there's a very easy thing, right? But do you think that a particular product being sold with another product is an opportunity? Yes, it can be, which Skid Row HD Gaming is recommending. So you recommend bread besides butter because whenever people are buying bread, they are either going to buy milk or butter. So things happening side by side. The larger problem of a Kirana store is to maintain a balanced inventory, right? Because they can order products and the products will come in a day or two. But while the products come, they don't want to finish their inventory such that no more product is left for new customers, right? So you need to manage your finances. You need to make sure that the inventory is sufficiently balanced at all points of time. And you also need to make sure that certain products are actually left over at different points of time during the year. So you need to give appropriate discounts so that those products are sold. So how will I collect that data? The moment a product enters my Kirana store, I will have a product ID. Suppose Maggie, 6 pieces, large pack. Okay, so that will become my Maggie product ID. Once I have that product ID, I will record the time that particular product came into my store and that particular product went out of my store. Okay, I will know the average time that a particular product spends in my store. If I do this for all the products, I will know my most profitably selling products. Why? Because I would actually know, yes, exactly, Ramya, shelf life. I would actually know how much time does it take between when I buy from my supplier to me selling to a customer. And that will help me very essentially because I will buy more of the products that get immediately sold and I can have a larger inventory of those. But there are some products that come now and they are going to be sold, let's say 6 months later. They might have a higher margin on them. I will make a larger profit, but they are going to go away after 6 months. So for those, I will not have inventory, stock aging. Yes, right? I can also find correlations between sales of one product with another product, right? Suppose it's summertime. In summertime, people prefer certain kinds of soaps, certain kinds of shampoos, right? Certain kinds of, like for Kirana example, Kirana store, it might not be useful, but for a fashion store, certain kind of clothes. So depending on the season, I can also keep different kinds of products that my customers are more likely to choose, right? All of these data points collected, aggregated, and analyzed can help me in making much better decisions, right? If you have any questions, please post it on the chat. Okay. Now, how do I manage the business efficiently? Let's say I have an entire set of data points collected and the data is in a very good format. Things are working smooth. My data is getting collected, recorded every day. Now, how do I manage the business efficiently? So the first thing that comes to my mind is something known as a KPI. KPI is short form for key performance indicator, right? And key performance indicators are generalized largely across, let's say, businesses, but they are very specific to each business. For example, Facebook's KPI could be number of new users added to the Facebook platform, right? WhatsApp's KPI could be average number of messages sent by one user via WhatsApp, right? Instagram's KPI could be number of posts uploaded daily. So the more number of posts that are uploaded daily, Instagram is benefiting. For YouTube, it could be number of hours of content added to the platform every day, right? So these are actually KPIs, or I would say tools that help you keep track of your business, right? You will know how your business is performing. What are the trends? Are you going in the positive direction or the negative direction? Are you getting stagnant at a particular place? You would know. Then suppose you are a big company, right? You are a very big company and you have 10 smaller companies. Then the person sitting at the top of the company is not concerned about how individual businesses are doing. They are concerned about the whole group. So what they will do is they will want to know how much am I investing in each business, how much I am getting back from each business. So ROI by the different businesses under my larger parent group. Okay. Then I can also see what is my marketing team's ROI, what is my R&D team's ROI, what is my sales team's ROI, all of that at individual levels, right? I can also find the efficiency of my CEOs, how they are doing as business. Let's say I have I produce 10 products. Let's say I am a Hindustan Unilever Limited, right? So I know that I produce Dove shampoos, I produce Tresemme shampoos, and I produce 10 other things, right? Which of my shampoos are selling the most? That's one question. Which of my shampoos are making me the maximum amount of money? That's the second question. And which of my shampoos are providing the highest ROI? That's the third question. So three kinds of questions, right? Sales amount, sales numbers, the number of bottles being sold, and then ROI. And then suppose I want to invest in research and development to improve a particular product. Which product will I improve? A product that sells a lot already but has less profit, or a product that sells less but has a high profit. I would likely try to make sure that the product that is already selling a lot, I will try to reduce its cost of manufacturing. And the product that is right now not selling a lot, but it's a very good quality product, high profit, there I will invest in R&D to understand why is it not selling more. Is there some kind of marketing that I can do? Is there some kind of bottle design, color design, user experience, fragrance of the bottle? Can I do something like that to improve the sales? So I'll focus like that, right? Major things, profitability obviously will be there because businesses, I mean, they are not there to make our lives good. They are there to make money, right? I mean, that's how the reality is. You told that Facebook is getting the revenue from the ads, but how WhatsApp is getting the revenue? Could you please enlighten? So WhatsApp is not right now getting revenue. WhatsApp is collecting data, right? So WhatsApp, Facebook, and Instagram are now owned by Meta, right? In a way. So Meta has access to all three channels, all three platforms, and every data set that you want, right? So, I mean, that's a different ball game altogether. What you can do with data is completely separate. So like, for example, there are companies that are actually selling data. Okay. If you go to a data set, there is a company called Mobile Walla, right? It is a consumer intelligence platform. That's a fancy way of saying I sell data. Okay. So if you want to just check how do they get data, right? They actually have data about your, can you see this? Mobile Walla core data is keyed on the mobile advertiser ID. So all the advertisements that you get on your phone, they have an advertiser ID. Device specific information. So they know if you're using an Android phone, a Samsung phone, an iPhone or not. Device ID, they know your operating system. Again, they know the handset. So they know if you're using an iPhone 6 or a 7 or a 8 or a 9 or a 10 or 11, 12, whatever. They know if you're using a Samsung Z2, Z4, Z3, whatever. Your app usage, how much time do you spend on different apps? Do you like to play games more? Do you like to chat more? Do you like to do this more? Do you like to do that more? They know everything about it. If like, so for example, you are a foodie, you have a lot of food apps. So I know when I want to market a food marketing campaign, then I'll market to you. So connectivity, are you on a Wi-Fi or are you on a mobile internet, right? So when you are on a Wi-Fi, you're usually at a place that you are going to stay. When you are at your mobile device, you're usually at a place where you're moving, right? Then your provider or connection type, right? So if you're using, let's say, international roaming, so it knows that this guy is right now in a foreign country. IP address, and the most interesting, location. It knows where you are whenever you open a application on your phone. That's a gaming application. It shows you an ad. You think that they are just giving me an ad, I'll just skip the button. They're actually collecting a lot of data about you, and all of this data gets sold, right? So that game is completely separate for WhatsApp, Facebook, and all of these other companies. Okay, right? So all of these questions like efficiency of human labor, transportation, distribution points, performance by region, by country, by state, by city, by district, right? Suppose I ask you a question, where do you want to expand your business? Suppose you have any kind of business and I ask you the question, where do you want to expand your business? Right? Until and unless you have the data of which country your business is selling the most, or where your product is selling the most, where you have less taxes, where do you have higher revenues, higher profits, where there is a scope of reducing costs, all of these other things, you will not be able to answer that question. You can say experientially that I think you should expand in, Asia Pacific region. There's a lot of scope. I think you should expand in India because India is a growing economy and all of that. But until unless you have the right data, you will not be able to take the decision, right? Where should we open a new office? Our employees, let's find out which is the highest frequency place where our employees come from. So most of our employees can travel from their own home, so they don't have to spend on rent. So that's where I'll open a new office. Where do we launch a new product? So suppose, just think about this. If a new BMW car gets launched, does it get launched in Leh Ladakh first, or does it get launched in Mumbai or Delhi first? What do you guys think? Simple answer, right? It will obviously get launched in Mumbai and New Delhi. Why? Because the sales of that product and the potential financial ability of population at those locations are definitely higher there. Okay. Could you define how WhatsApp getting business and doing the revenue? Because I think that's out of the scope for this webinar. I mean, I touched upon it, I agree, but I don't think that's out of the scope. So we can connect later on this, okay? Right. Comparing performances with competition market averages. So because data is available from other companies also, you can actually get and compare how other companies are performing versus how your company is performing, right? Then you can also do market trends analysis, planning for the future, adoption, what is benefiting you the most, user experience, user integration, optimization, all of that to manage it efficiently, right? Then there is predictive analysis. Once you have data from the past, you can build a model, a statistical model, a machine learning model, an AI model, any kind of mathematical algorithm that can really help you look at the past, learn the pattern, and predict the future. It can be how much should I invest in, which stock should I invest in? It should be what new features should I add? Should I reduce the cost or increase the cost? Should I give a discount or not give a discount? Which demography is most profitable? How can I increase production? How much should I produce for this year, for this particular month, right? Seasonality, trends, etc. How much inventory should I keep at any point of time, right? How do I increase profitability? I will know that if I invest more in humans, I will be more profitable. If I invest more in machines, I might not be profitable, right? All of those things. So yes, forecasting, prediction, same thing, right? I want to find better opportunities. So let's say I know that the return on one particular stock is 25% CAGR and on another stock is 10% CAGR. So I'm obviously going to invest in 25% CAGR, right? But let's say a new stock comes in that has properties or characteristics or efforts right now more like the 25% CAGR. So I'm going to predict that that stock is going to become a 25% CAGR and I'm going to invest in it, right? This entire mechanism of learning from the past and predicting the future and then improving your predictions slowly and steadily is what is the process of AI and machine learning today, right? Yeah, coming to the final slide, which is the automation of the recruiting process. So UI UX optimization is, for example, if Flipkart suddenly changes its color from yellow to dark green, would you like it? Most of the people would say no, right? Because the user experience of going through the Flipkart's application is dependent on the choice of colors, the placement of different sides, right? The size of the images they show, the content that they show on the right. Somewhere there is bold, somewhere there is no bold. 50% off, discount placement, where do you want to place it, no cost EMI options, advertisements. These are all your experience as a user on the Flipkart's platform. Okay. Automating the recruiting process. So suppose I give you 5 CVs to find out the best candidate. You will definitely go through all the CVs and find me the best candidate, at least to start an interview with. Now I give you 1000 CVs. Let's say you are working for Google as an HR and you have 1000 CVs coming every day. Is it possible for any human to go through 1000 CVs? No. Is it possible for Google to hire that many HRs so that it can make sure that it can actually manually go through all of them? No, right? So what's the essence behind solving this kind of problem? The essence is you need to automate. Whenever you want to automate, the first thing you need to do is extract the right text. For example, from your CV, I can get your name because that will mostly be the first thing that will come. I can extract your email for sure. I can extract your phone number because it has a format, right? I can extract your LinkedIn because it will have a linkedin.com at the end, right? Then I will try to find out and match the keywords that I want. Suppose I want a Python developer who knows machine learning, who knows SQL, who knows Java or Excel or 5 other things. So I will try to see, are those keywords present in your CV or not? Let's say I have 50 keywords to search from. You have 30 of them. So I will prefer you over another candidate who has 20 of my keywords. 30 out of 50 is greater than 20 out of 50. So I'll prefer you over that other candidate. Now, years of experience, I can find out the smallest year. Okay, I can find out the smallest year of your work experience and calculate it with the number of years of experience you have. So I can just directly reject people who are not, let's say I want 5 years of experience and you are not 5 years of experience. So I can just directly reject people because I want more than 5, right? There are standard formats also. There are things like whenever you make a CV, you will have work experience, education, okay, skills. All of these are very strict standard parameters. So experience or work experience, they will always give where the person has worked. Education will always give what the person has studied, right? All of those things combined, a system can be designed. Then for each of the candidate, I can compile all the data in one place. And then I can do the filtering and sorting about who should I interact with, which candidate should I schedule the interview with. And once I know which candidates to schedule the interview with, I already have their email. So I can automate and send them an email as well to schedule a call with them. Then my human intervention comes in, right? So the automated record of every candidate, their skills, their experience, all of that combined, a system is built so that the entire recruiting process, obviously the recruiting process of sending tasks. Suppose I want to give you a technical task, that can also be automated. If I'm looking for a data science role, I can directly just send it to you. Ramya, please connect with the Inside AI ML team. They are going to help you get this PPT. Okay, I've shared it with them. They'll share it with you. Okay, this entire process works in such a way that most of the things are automated and human intervention is only coming where real human intervention is required. Okay. So yeah, guys, we are about time. There was a great webinar. I had a lot of fun. Thank you for asking questions, and I hope I was able to satisfy your curiosity. There were certain questions that I did not take because, I mean, sometimes we go over time and this whole presentation goes over time. I don't like that. So for specific questions, you can connect with the Inside AI ML team and they will connect you with me and we can definitely discuss. Okay. Thanks everyone for joining the webinar. I hope you had a good time. I had a great time. And for any progress or any career opportunities that you're looking for in the future for AI or ML, connect with the Inside AI ML team.